we'll take it here. Curious to see what Santos wants to play. Do we see something like Tom Cantor? We've actually seen a lot today. Maybe something like the Braum, which we saw a lot in the earlier stages of the play-in.
I feel like if they don't do something crazy, Braum would kind of be my go-to. Santos seems to be really confident on the champion, even if you know, sometimes the matchups that he plays in the 2v2 aren't the best for Braum, still makes it work for him. Also, one more pick, of course, here to come through for Mega. Akali. An assassin potentially for G4, potentially for Rockky, with flexibility between her and Hecarim. It's not the Zed, but I'll take it. I do like watching ninjas kind of fly around the screen.
Basically the same.
Basically the same.
All right, well, curious to see how that all shakes out, but pretty solid start there for Mega. Ooh, a Shen. I believe our first Shen of the tournament here for Vega.
And it's actually the second for them. Santos played it in the support position. I expect it to be a support Shen, but that is still a lot of flex picks.
Well, Phase 2 of ban should be fun then for the Mega side. But Vega, of course, will have first dibs on what champion they'd like to take out of the pool. The answer is Lee Sin, so continuing to cut junglers away from Jjun.
And I feel like this is actually really devastating for Mega. Jjun has shown that he's not super comfortable on stage right now, and because the jungle pool is getting whittled down so far, he's going to have to really reach outside of his comfort pool to find something that works for him.
Perhaps the outside of the box is Hecarim for him, of course. Can be flex there, as you mentioned. But see if he loses another jungler here, potentially, with Vega having their 5th and final ban. And yeah, AHaHaCiK's going to leave the pool as well.
That is 5 junglers taken away. That hurts.
Gadget also going to lose 2 picks. Heimerdinger and Nico say bye-bye for now. But there's always Kane. There's always Graves. We'll give them their 15 seconds or so to lock in this next pick.
Camille or Gragas would kind of be the next one that Jjun goes to, so I feel like it was kind of, do I want to continue denying you? Flashes both of his champions. Jjun can now look for either some hard engage, maybe some disengage. I feel like it'd be Gragas because it is a Kindred, and we've seen how that interaction of the casts and the Lamb's Respite can really cause a lot of problems for Kindred.
Certainly can. So nice takeaway there. See how Mega do want to finish off their draft though. Sivir going to be the hover for now. 2 seconds left to decide on what this pick's going to be, and then of course they will finish their draft here.
And now we're going to have our questions answered. You know, is this going to be G4's Akali? Is this going to be Rocky's Akali? Is it going to be a jungle Hecarim, or will we see something else come out for Jjun?
You mentioned something like Camille, still has that here, has the Gragas, but does lock in Zhao. Very aggressive jungler. I have to think we'll be seeing quite a lot of early game shenanigans on his side.
I mean, one would hope, but otherwise the ability to play out side lanes here for Mega, and I feel like that's what you really want. You want agency for your carry like G4, which on a champion like Akali, who can go forward, go backwards, cause a lot of havoc. She can team fight depending on how far she gets ahead. I feel like that's kind of the sweet spot for them, and I really want to see them set up G4 for a lot of success on such a power pick like Akali.
Last pick here, though, is Vladimir. So pretty standard stuff actually on the Vega side.
The fact that we say standard stuff. No, it's standard.
Yeah, I mean, that's more standard than Heimerdinger and Nico, which both got banned away. One of their more relaxed comps, I guess I'll call it.
Is it though?
I mean, it won't matter because the way they play has been also extremely high octane so far in this group. So no matter what, you can kind of feel the pace of the game's been picking up on the back half of the day. And Vega don't look to be stopping anytime soon.
And big smiles on the face of Gadget. He certainly is ready and plugged in to play his Vladimir. Again, a lot of mage play, a lot of mage champions he's played down there. I'm sad that we didn't get to see.
A lot of champions he's played down there.
He's got the Veigar sitting back there.
Really?
Yeah, I really wanted the ADC Veigar.
Goodness gracious. Well, certainly a play that's been a lot of fun to watch, so of all of Vega Squadron. So we'll see how they look for their final game before their knockout bout tomorrow versus the Flash Wolves. For Mega, this will be their last hurrah, but not a bad way to end your tournament. If you can't get any further, might as well take down the people that beat you.
Yeah, and that one is going to feel good. So Mega, can they be a speed bump to Vega's momentum riding into this best of 5? Are Vega going to get the 6-0 and just stomp their way through the group stage? This is what we're looking for. I want to see G4 pop off. I want to see Gadget just flex on this Vladimir. I'm ready.
I'm ready too. Always a fun side to watch, but we'll see what happens here as, hey, don't get sleepy there, buddy. Gadget with a big yawn. It's like Vladimir, this champion's easy. Played the hard champions already. This one's straightforward. This team's out under Summoners Rift for our final time today. It's actually the final day of group stage, so we'll be sunsetting group stage for this year, of course. We'll be back. Don't tweet at me. their knockouts tomorrow. We'll see 2 new teams enter the fray before moving into the main stage.
Feels like it's gone by so quickly.
It has. Hard to say what that is.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
And all I see,
I'm
we're
going to
gonna
say
have
the pace of League of Legends increasing. Actually, I know what it is. You thought it was going to be a long day for Froskurinn. Not today.
games have certainly.
We left the
picked up
long
today.
games to Azale and Dracos. They graded those. We need the high octane league.
Alrighty, we've got some taunting back and forth. We're spamming our abilities, using some taunts. I was curious if we're gonna have some level 1 action, just because it feels like, you know, when it's pride that's on the line, either team wants to have a little bit of swagger.
Well, if we are going to find some of that swagger, G2 just got the first CS of the game, killing that ward. And of course, on a champion like Akali, has plenty of ways to style on his opponents. But Nomanz also on Irelia. Also flashing is in there as well, as G4 is going to roam up and ward that red, trying to get the information. But as we can see, AHaHaCiK currently, right there, the red buff.
Yeah, and totally fine. Everyone has full information that this is happening, so they know exactly which side the junglers are starting. In response, you can see Santos there is also warding the red, so they should know that Zhao is starting top side of the map.
Yeah, have the requisite
This
information.
is cute. Look at Santos.
Hanging out.
Yeah.
Looking for a level
That's
1.
a bad day. Oh, that's the worst
on.
day.
Barely missing out. Oh.
Hate to see
It's
it.
like you missed the bus. Like, oh, that feels bad. But then you also spill your coffee. Not a great start there for Santos, but I like the style. Also like this here, level 2 gank from Jjun with blue buff. Not always seen, but we'll see if it's effective here versus boss.
Seems like they're gonna go in right now.
Well, things are going to start off. The root already down. That's a quick ignite flash forward, and this should be an easy kill here for Jjun. It is in its first blood.
And that's what we expect from Mega's jungler. So it took a little bit to wind up, but he is now awake. He is alive on this MSI stage, and he now has a first blood in his pocket.
Trades the summoners, so we'll see if he does want to go for the revisit at any point, but now just going to take the left side Scuttle Crab, which is a nice way to cap off a very good gank to start off this game.
Now, I kind of wanted to revisit what it meant for Santos to miss that attempted gank on the mid lane, and you can see that, yeah, they were always going to get pushed into that bot lane. You're against a Sivir as well as the Galio, but I was curious how it would transition into the jungle, losing that much priority as...
G4 going to go in as well. Oh, he found the flip it. Auto attack follows the flash. Nomanz goes down solo.
You could have just walked away. There's that moment when you're like, nothing will happen here. No, G4's today, something happens.
Yep, Shuriken flip finds its mark. TP back instantly there for Nomanz. And no aggressive summoner, so no aggressive keystone and no ignite needed, but we'll watch this one again.
I do like the instantaneous flash from Jjun to follow that one up, make sure he connects with the auto.
Going to make sure to secure it. And again, this one here, I mean, Nomanz dancing around, thinking maybe he can get some poke down. But G4 just like, yeah, you're trading not that well here. And then can't see this flip. G4 nails it, and then at that point it's too late.
Just didn't account for the damage that was going to come out of Kali, didn't respect that he didn't have access to the flash. Feels bad.
Certainly does. And G4 certainly take it. A good way to start for a player that we are looking to have a pretty high impact. Boss, though, getting it done there on the top side here. Bottom lane, though, action already starting. Lloyd looks to be dead, will go down. Barely even needed this jungler.
Just there for the moral support.
And to push the wave out. Always feels good.
It is a teleport on Lloyd, however, so he's just going to TP back into the lane, not be denied any of this gold or this experience.
Gonna push things in. And AHaHaCiK, of course, will finish his back. And Lloyd won't miss too much, except the death that he's now suffered, which I guess he wished he could have back.
Looking for the Essence Reaver. It looks like a big rush as well. Is taking a look at it. Nice flash taunt. Make sure that he connects with Lloyd. Like we were saying, Kindred just there for the moral support.
Making up for the one he missed at level 1 as well, I feel like. Nice and on target there for Santos. Almost felt like that would have worked without the jungler, but you never know, so might as well bring Kindred down there. Boss also building up a pretty decent CS lead, actually, despite getting ganked, using that Ryze's early pressure to really harass the top laner. Should be able to take most of this wave as well. Lines it all up. And misses just one. 1 or 2. Still up 10 CS, despite the pressure that enemy jungle did show him earlier on.
I like opening up the space for AHaHaCiK to look for a counterplay here, so Obviously, Boss was trying to check if he was going to be dove right there. I like the response from Mega to say, no, I'm diving a Ryze. Probably a bad idea, especially when we show on Vision. But good conservative play to make sure nothing fishy was happening on either side.
Rockky, they're also going to go for a walk and at least find a control ward. Jjun behind him, so maybe can leap in here. Down a level right now, Kindred are just going to go for it here, but no mid laner means that he can't really chase, and Jjun's like, yeah, I think I can go for this here. Turn on the Conqueror, actually the Phase Rush, excuse me. It's now the Kindred that turned on that Keystone, but Jjun one more auto and that's it. Oh, G4 couldn't come in time. And now with the ulti, he's going to get the first kill. Perfect execution, aptly named, still has the second charge. Going to run away from Nomanz, but actually doesn't have it left, excuse me. Must use it to gap close. What a flash, so reads the mind of Irelia and dodges the Vanguard's edge.
Very nicely executed there by G4 to not only get the rotation, but like you're saying, predict the play and disengage himself from it appropriately. As far as the Kindred versus Zen, I like the fact that AHaHaCiK held on to his Q, because basically that's what it was going to determine. Doesn't want to use the Q early for the damage, because he knows that Jjun's only option here is to try to look for the gap close. Finds the knockup, the Q then comes out from AHaHaCiK, he creates the space in the distance, and he's able to walk down the melee versus range matchup.
G4 tried to make it over in time, but couldn't find it. Does manage to get out of this situation quite nicely. Still, despite how late it felt like Mega were coming to that play, do manage to find something at least there for G4, who's, again, with 2 kills up, still the player to watch here on the Mega side.
We wanted this akali to go off. He's certainly put in the position to do so. Feels bad in the CS department, but obviously those 2 kills are making up for it, and the gold difference between those two is another setup. Santos doesn't have flash, but still has that taunt.
No ultis here either for anyone actually involved in this play currently. And there's again another wraparound here. Lloyd with no flash gonna get away from the taunt. I think he must have just used it, so may have missed seeing that cooldown. Regardless, a little bit of pressure, but no kill this time.
Yeah, the real unfortunate thing for Lloyd is that the Q from Kindred looked like it procced the spell shield. Maybe it was Wolf had to go back and look at it, and then without having access to the spell shield, he was forced to run the flash because he didn't have anything to get out of the taunt.
Jjun at least going to try and take something away. Does manage to get the junk up off there, but AHaHaCiK also taking camps away for himself. Takes his blue, hits 6, and now ready to really team fight it up here with this blue buff, but red side jungle starting to go missing. Jjun gets the red, and all but the last little raptor that AHaHaCiK does make sure to finish off.
And I was going to say that I really like the confidence from Jjun. You know, he feels that because G4 has like the shortcut into that transition that he's going to go contest raptors, but he did that without Jjun or G4 even being in the lane. So just using information accordingly.
Top lane again. Oh, good flash, but still gets clipped by the onslaught of Shadow's Fear. And again, Jjun comes top and gets kill. It's just that easy.
Yeah, the onslaught of Shadows as well as tagging him with that red buff. And this looks like a completely different jungler for Mega than the first half of this tournament. Jjun really finding his stride on this Zhao and teaming up really well with the likes of Rockky and G4.
Boss starting to get a little bit punished, but still at least keeping up in farm for now. It does have the TP, but will likely be forced to burn it. Does use it there. Make his way back to the lane. Mid lane though, 2v1 right now for G2. Can he find his way out of this one?
Nomanz is trying to herd G4 towards that bush.
Ooh, a nice little job. All the stun lands as well. And here's the Kindred surprise. G4 in the shroud, flips out of the way. They will chase down, but can't quite get in range. Nomanz doesn't want to dive the turret, so G4 stays safe.
Yeah, still able to disengage despite not having the flash. As possibly a counterplay here. You can see Zhao went over the wall.
Had to burn everything. Stun lands for Nomanz, but no way to follow that one under the turret. Especially without the Kindred ulti. Now going to get jumped on. Good ult reaction. Stage United also coming in. So now going to queue towards it. Knockback. He's still going to leave Santa in the middle there, but Galio comes up, finds the 2-man knockup. Flash into the taunt for the 2 as well. And now Noman's going to be the target. Santa's looks to go down as well. First kill goes over to Jjun, who grabs another. Santa's burning down to the Ignite. Is barely going to live as he dashes out of there, but no real hope. Gets ignited again. And that will give it over to Rockky.
The fade away Ignite from Rockky. And this looks like, again, a completely different team from Mega. The ability to rotate first to the play, to collapse on top of it. It was a party in that upper river, and it was Mega who got the last laugh.
And again, reactions here are great from AHaHaCiK, but still enough here with the Galio roaming up as well.
And you know, initially I was like, ah, no, Jjun's going to go in on this and he's going to get baited by the Kindred ultimate. But the fact that Pop has incredible follow-up there, that everyone starts piling in, immediately turns to the play, very well executed from the whole squad from Mega.
And I think that's the thing for me, is this was a fun fadeaway ignite by Rockky. Yes, I think Jjun is playing like a very different looking player, maybe more like his domestic self. But the team just seems so much more cohesive this go-around.
Yeah, it feels like the team is really plugged into him, or he is plugged into them, and they're working really well together.
Rift Herald is the next reward they get for all that play. G4 getting away from Nomanz, forced to burn the Shroud. But still, despite the pressure, only down a little under 10 CS. Feeling just fine, and the bot lane is going relatively well here. Lloyd is going to TP back and clear this up. Actually, it's farming up nicely, so things feeling pretty solid right now for Mega, who are up about 1,500 gold.
It's now just about how they'll exit this lane phase, and kind of what they'll do with the advantage and where they have them. Again, still feels really good to have it onto the Akali, but you know, if she's able to use this as effectively post-lane phase and break some of these things while there's such a strong 5v5 comp from Vega, we'll see.
Sage also picked up there after the Tiamat. We've seen a lot of Tiamat first Irelia in both the top lane and the mid lane.
I think it's really important specifically for mid lane, just because of its access into the jungle, and having priority there means so much to allow your jungler to make aggressive plays or kind of set tempo.
Saw Nomanz dance around the minions before. We'll watch it again, but we'll go back down to bot lane where Lloyd is doing a similar bit of work here on the minions. Cloud Drake is once again being wrongfully ignored. So AHaHaCiK just showing up, seeing what he can get done as G4 maybe finds a roam here.
I think they might find a dive here.
Here we go. Onslaught of Shadows out. G4 dives in, lands the Q. Boss not able to get out in time with the Realm Warp, and that last turret shot barely out of range. Nomanz trying to find the angle, but doesn't have a flash to follow.
I mean, it feels bad when it's the Akali that takes the tower aggro and yet still gets out of the play successfully.
There's the Drake over at least, but Jjun going to channel the Rift Herald. Rockky now onto Nomanz, who tried to help up here in the top lane. Boss still dead for 5 more seconds with no TP. Rift Herald going to charge up. Gold will go over, and Jjun's diving in, but Stanch united out. Vanguard Dead's going to follow. Shen delivered straight into the waiting arms.
Here comes G4.
Of the rest of Mega, and Rockky now dead. Nomanz might make it a double here, as Jjun going to finally take a death. Santa's into stasis. He'll be safe. G4, though, maybe not so lucky. Chase it through, gets the sword slow, but G4 really looking to pop things off here. Dancing back around and force, still gets stunned. Nomanz able to find it, but G4 finds the kill again. 4-0-1 now.
Meanwhile, bottom.
Gadget finds a Hemo play, and AHaHaCiK right behind him. Flash onto Lloyd, that's the target. Lloyd flashes out as well. Galio with the ulti, but there's a Lamb's Respite to keep the fight going alive. Lloyd about to go back in there. Oh, but Pop can't find the Justice Punch. And AHaHaCiK, though, will die to Lloyd as Gadget will find the dive and maybe secure the kill. Yes, he is able to grab it as Gadget forced a turntail from the TP in from Rockky. He was speeding up and looking to charge him down. Flash ready here for the Vladimir. He flashes back over. He wants to kill Pop. That's probably a one-way ticket there, mate. No, Gadget just running out of the way. Rockky, surely you'll ease back up soon. He's going to chase under the turret. Transfusion ready. I think Gadget's out. He is.
He doesn't want it. He knows that Santos is probably very close. He doesn't want to try to go for the dive, contest with the pool, but across the map. Again, it feels like a completely different group. Yesterday, it was like 5 kills at 25 minutes. Now everything is exploding.
Who is this man? Proto-botting back in towards the Hecarim as now Mega rotates the jungler back down. Gadget just playing real aggressive here.
But we need to take stock of the map, kind of rewind our minds and cast back to who was, again, the big winner as everything kind of fell apart on the map. For me, it's still the fact that G4 is so powerful. Now has the completed Gunblade, and they're looking at...
Cute flash there. G4 in. That's an easy kill.
I was like, 4-0, probably going to be a 5-0.
Only that one assist. He'll take it.
Oh, what do you mean? It was all him, clearly.
Santa's about to face check Pop. Not quite enough to worry about here. Is G4 actually going to rotate down to the bot lane? Now Gadget's going to fancy a go. He's 2 levels down. No one has ultis here just yet, but it's like both of them just kind of pass each other by at the end of it all.
Oh, I was going to say, where are we actually going to start with this one? So Nomanz goes in with Santos, and then G4 is actually teleporting right now down by the tower. You can see him coming in through the bottom of your screen. And at this point, it feels like Nomanz really just sacrifices for Santos, does a little bit of dancing, and it's G4 who wins, and now Rockky who wins.
Yep. Rockky always wins. Haven't you seen the films? Gonna take the turret here in top as well. Don't have time to play the whole replay. Turns out there's too many kills happening in this game. 16 with 15 minutes of play, Froskurinn. That's my kind of pace.
The chains are off. Everyone's just here to play now.
Sivir ulti pop to retreat. Vanguard's Edge is good. And AHaHaCiK gonna dive back in. Lloyd likely the target. Nomanz not that much health to play with, but enough to make that work.
Feels a lot better, and they're now continuing for the dive. Here comes Santa's.
Santa's in. Pop.
Oh!
Ooh. Gonna stop it off, but doesn't land the taunt. Justice Punch favorably interacting there that time for Galio.
But meanwhile, while everyone is chasing on Vega, Mega are getting a lot of time with these structures, not only the top lane, but also that mid lane. You can see Zhao now skirting down. Should get a sizable chunk here, possibly even push it down. Trying to be a response.
Cannon creep dying, but Kindred here to clean up the rest of these creeps, and Gadget will take the remaining. So mid turret still available, but not taken just yet, as we'll watch this one again.
I feel very nervous every time we go into a replay, because I just feel like every time we get out of it, there's just a massive brawl that's happening.
But again, line up the Vanguard's Edge, dive straight in, no lands respite, but knew they had enough damage to make sure to get the kills. Nomanz flashes out.
Yeah, unfortunately, Galio, kind of once he uses his big combo, there's not a lot he could do for his ADC versus something like an Alistar or a Tahm Kench, so that was a I will remember you moment.
Fondly, most certainly. It looks like we've had at least Vega moving their duo lane down. Boss though, no turret to run to. Stands united there from Santa's, gonna try and save some of the day. Realm Warp in, Santa's finds the taunt, and that's Boss out of there.
Nicely done, but that's using a lot of big ultimates just to disengage from a bit of an overextension on the top side of the map.
Yeah, have to be careful. I mean, Hecarim himself, more than capable of running you down that lane, but Jjun has showed a lot of preference up towards that top half of the map. Mega starting to band together a little bit more, trying to take down this mid outer turret.
Yeah, I feel like it really just gives license to Mega that they can play hyper aggressive here and try to force some of these structures down.
Another ulti there from Lloyd, but not quite enough damage on this turret. Needs maybe 2 or 3 autos, but Wave is lagging behind.
Okay, Nomanz, here's your 2v1 scenario.
All right, you want to make a montage? It starts here. G4 into the shroud, popping down, flips back over, beautifully played. There's a Lance Respite, finds the stun, but now G4, can he find the execute after this all? How many is he going to get? He grabs one, and an AHaHaCiK down for the count as well. There's the double kill over to G4. Galio ult procs, Gadget and Santa's forced to turn tail, but Jjun might find the gap close here, has the E lined up, needs to get in range. Tower in mid falls over to Lloyd. And Gadget into pull out safely, but Vega still lose 2.
And unfortunate for Nomanz, it just wasn't his montage he was in. It's G4 again picking up more kills, now looking to go legendary on this Akali. He's 7-0-1. And in the meantime, it's 2 towers and a dragon for Mega.
Right now he's in G4's video, and that highlight reel is stacking up nicely. Mega overtaking in the gold. Now a substantial lead as another Drake will go over to them as well.
And this just has to feel so good to finally get, you know, some sort of representation of your power level on this stage for the Thai team. And especially because it's G4 of all players. You know, coming into this, it felt the playstyle really did start with the jungle, but the most consistent member for this tournament has been G4. And it feels like Mega finally recognized that and are getting him all of the firepower to pop off.
I think it reinforces how valuable experience is in a lot of ways. We'll watch this one again. Nomanz, he tried his best, but his best was not enough today.
And it felt bad, you know, using the Q pretty early on. Obviously didn't expect someone to be behind him, so just wanted to get away from the CC. Possibly thought that people were chasing behind the Zhao. And then from there, the collapse comes in, and the Kindred ultimate is definitely not enough.
Certainly not. Thankfully, Santa's and Gadget managed to run away. But Mega is still continuing to snowball this one. Very curious to see. I mean, Vega haven't really played much from behind at all so far in this group. So pretty sizable disadvantage.
That is something to look for, kind of the key takeaways about how this team does play from the back foot. And it's hard to say just because, you know, this is a very different game than if this was the qualifier into moving on to the best of 5. But so far, there seems to be a bit of disrespect about the information alongside the map, people being caught out, whether it's Boss or Nomanz being very deep in blind enemy territory. Don't want to say that that's definitely going to happen in the best of 5, because again, context is really important here, but something to keep our eye on.
Certainly so. Rockky finding new time to push here in the bot lane. Trinity Force into Spirit Visage seems to be the go. As Jjun does get stunned up, but again, not too much aggression here that Vega can really afford, so they will lose another turret. That's their 4th turret gone now as the outer ring is now officially felled. And G4 also finding himself in a side lane. I mean, 2 items here, plus a Sook Shoes, 7-0-1 on the Akali. Not really anyone 1v1 that can take on G4 right now.
Trying to stick to Rockky, maybe Jjun.
Yeah, ulti is just to disengage. Santos has a flash and a taunt ready. Will continue. Ooh, actually doesn't. I guess they can't see anyone, so maybe trying to, you know, say, okay, we're blind. Let's not overstay our welcome now.
But at this point in the map setup, lane assignments are going to be really critical here for Vega Squadron if they want to kind of stop bleeding and slow down the pace of this game for them to catch back up. Unfortunately, it doesn't feel like anyone can deal with G4 in the 1v1, so they're going to need to commit multiple resources. Now, they do have the tools on their composition to do that with the likes of Santos, but I feel like they still need at least 3 members to really secure the kill and make sure it doesn't trade back 1v1. So I'm on Santos now. Like, can he clear out this vision so that if G4 is in a side lane, someone can skirt underneath him? And is the Stand United on point to try to make the difference here?
And again, we talk about Mega kind of finally having their jungler lead out as expected, but really playing cohesively well together, at least in this particular game. How they continue to do that as a team will certainly show a lot of growth. As I said before, experience is so valuable on these big stages, and for how many new players are playing from Mega, I mean, yes, they have some veterans, but it's mostly made up of international rookies. Certainly if we see them again on a big stage, expect things to be quite a bit different, because we've heard it from a lot of these players that haven't had this experience before. It is just, it's impossible to adapt to until you're in it. And
it's just, yeah, you have no idea kind of what you're going to experience or what kind of situation you're going to put in. Now, one of the things that Mega have shown as one of their weaknesses is that they can be a bit hesitant to pull the trigger, especially on like big objectives around Baron. So even when they do find themselves in massive gold leads in their finals, they'd sometimes try to play it a little bit too cautiously. I'll see if that's going to be the case here, or if they feel a bit better, kind of put their foot on the gas and really drive this one home.
Well, Vision's getting pretty starved here for Vega around the Baron pit, which is never a good thing. Jjun also lying in wait. Just going to take out the control wards that they've tried to set up, but they're pretty shallow and they're about to lose them. Jjun gets both here.
This
G4 looking for his 1v2 highlight. Once again, the stun does connect there. Over the wall he goes. Very well played. And 1,000 shutdown gold gifted over to Irelia.
And G4 was trying to be respectful there. You could see he was backing off, but just a really good read from Vega Squadron, making sure that they cleared out all of the vision in the jungle so that Gadget was able to go down their blind and find the 2v1. And even though Irelia did a lot of the work, you know, Vladimir was there for the ride.
Hey, Hemoplague is a very powerful ultimate, so if nothing else, committing that usually is the difference between, oh, they lived at 10% and oh, they overkilled at 150. So certainly enough there. A crucial amount of gold being given over, and Nomanz, I think, one of the best players to get. They've got some good carries, but Irelia will be happy given how poorly the matchup was going earlier on.
I mean, it's going to help them a lot to just, you know, get a foot back into this game and feel better. And Irelia is still going to be absolutely terrifying out into one of these side lanes. It feels like you can only stop Irelia really for so long. And at this kind of level of play where you have so many players who are just kind of skill checking each other on mechanics, I'm not willing to call the matchup one way or the other, because it feels like at the end of the day, just the better player is going to win out.
Well, certainly looking forward to any sort of stylish battle we could have between Akali and Irelia. But for now, it is just sweeping out the vision again. Mega did get themselves a Mountain Drake, which will help with any future Baron attempts. But again, as you said, they have a tendency to play things a little bit slowly now, and I do feel like maybe they've given Vega a little too much time without growing this gold lead.
And it can be really hard to play this aspect of team play on a competitive stage, you know, making sure that your lane assignments and your side lanes are set up correctly, that you're taking the necessary steps to clear out the Baron, and that you're also having faith that you can calculate how quickly you can turn and do that Baron.
Red buff steal, not a bad start here though. Mega again just trying to really put their foot down in this very crucial quadrant of the map, given that Baron is basically at the forefront of all 10 players' minds right now.
And they're doing well, but they have a limited window to do so. You can see that Hecarim has now just backed. He's running down towards where Nomanz is shoving down that big wave, and then he's going to push it forward. He's going to cheat up through the river and try to look for a play, but this is kind of the rinse and repeat, this wash cycle that Mega are stuck in around this Baron dance. But, you know, you need to You need to flex a little bit more.
Yeah, when you get a lead, it's not just enough to, you know, sit on it and try and hope the game goes your way. You need to extend your lead. Granted, you are given some time because you have already built a lead for yourself that you can lean on, but converting advantage into more advantage into win is usually the way you want to go. Not converting advantage into just farming things out, as this is not a bad pick. Boss, too far in the top side, gets picked off by Pop & Co.
And you can see why he was confident stepping forward. That was the one bush that wasn't warded. Vega have done a really good job kind of like regaining control over this quadrant, but Mega, just a lot of patience right there. They want to play this one very much by the book. It's now bottom lane. I think he's going to walk it off.
Yeah, Nomanz just gets out of there. No one's committed any cooldowns just yet. And both these champions are pretty durable, able to heal back and forth. Nomanz, though, I think now knows that something is up. He's going to dive in, though, potentially here. Looks for the stun, does not connect it, and Lloyd is down here running into it all. Sand United getting used, but again, now a 2v2 going to start. Rockky, though, going to be the first kill, potentially. Redemption down, Nomanz finds the snipe. It will be a trade as Lloyd gets the next one, and now G4 we're going to pick off Santa's. No hope at all for the Shen.
Another kill into the Akali pocket. She should now take control of being over in that bottom lane. A lot was expended to kind of trade 1-for-1, but it doesn't translate into an objective.
And again, Mega, you know, finding some moments here, but still not really growing this lead by that much more. We're getting closer to 6,000, but it's kind of sat between the 3 and 6 mark for a lot of these last 10 minutes or so.
And it feels like Mega are, you know, trying to Rubik's Cube out how they split up this map. You know, they've got Rockky down here on the Hecarim. That didn't feel too great. You could see that he was starting to win, but competing with the Shen was difficult. So maybe now they decide, okay, G4 is going to be our guy that's responsible into the side lane.
As you said, also, Irelia just kind of hits the point where it doesn't feel like it can really win anymore. Not saying we're there yet, but...
Oh, we're just going to TP and fight them right now!
Boss is out of there. Or is he? Gets stunned immediately by G4's ulti, and Lloyd collects the last hit as a result.
The Vision line is just getting exhausted here from Vega. They are trying their hardest to not lose control over this area, but eventually it's just getting too difficult, too much of an uphill battle. The jungler is still alive, so they can smite contest for this.
Try it here. Taunt actually lands on the Pop, but he's got a taunt of his own. Finds 3. G4 round the back. Lands to spite Pop, but Vega Squadron may just be denying the inevitable. Galio comes through. Gadget gets a kill. Santa's getting chest down by Lloyd. Will fall, but Vega's still actually fighting this one out. Jjun did revive, had the GA popped. That will at least pull them off Baron. Not bad for Vega Squadron.
You know what's crazy too is that as we have another rinse cycle of kind of like this repeat Baron setup, look at all of the teleports that Vega Squadron still have. So their ability to actually play a map or to the side lane safely, as long as they just don't get, you know, cleaned up by some of these assassins or by the Hecarim, I actually think this is massive for Vega Squadron because they got the TP out of the Hecarim from the top lane and stalled out the Baron.
Yeah, you see the fight kind of finish off here. I thought G4 was going to clean them all up, but fortunately for him, not really able to do so, and Vega at least take a trade.
You can see that they're starting to inch back a little bit closer in these 5v5s.
They are, and as you said, those TPs are a pretty big difference. It's 3 apiece, but Mega have now used all of theirs, and as you said, Frost, all 3 up now for Vega. So at least I think delaying this game, getting more farm, trying to like catch up on gold is certainly viable, but maybe more if you can find a good cross-map play or just spread them out so thin that you can take some objectives. Vega can make real ground here.
It at least makes it very easy for Vega to make a decision that if they want to kind of cut back to one of those side lanes, that they can commit multiple members because they can just TP back to the Baron pit. The big thorn in Vega's side is actually that top tower that G4 is pushing out still being up because it denies the minion wave from going down.
And AHaHaCiK getting coverage on the Drake here, like his top laner, but Rockky did not like the first part of that event. Santa's, though, very easy target. Pops down the Spirit's Refuge. G4, though, just going to find another assassination target, but here comes Nomanz and Gadget. Vanguard's Edge out, and Hemoplague already popped, TP in as well. Vega going to try and clean it up here. Jjun dead. Jungler being down always means Baron is a possibility.
And you can see Hecarim trying to pick where he's going to attack on the map. He was starting to run towards the team fight. The call was, no, it's already over. And so instead, he skirts back towards the bottom side of the lane. Is trying to push up and maybe get some chip damage on that tower.
Good news there for Mega is it's just the trade, even though it is support for jungler. Santa's, though, trying to ward, but can't get too far without running into G4.
And it feels a little bit desperate from Mega. You can tell that they kind of know what they want to do. They want to try to break open this game by finding the picks, but, you know, overreaching, not really accounting for the fact that they didn't have perfect information, that they're still dealing with a lot of teleports. And losing a lot of steam over this Baron. It feels like we've been in gridlock here for the last 7 minutes.
Certainly, and I think, you know, some of the earlier mishaps I can maybe fault more on like just sloppiness from Vega, maybe not playing, you know, as focused as they have been earlier in the day. I think at this point now they're just getting exhausted. Like this battle for vision over the Baron quadrant that has been going on for at least 10 minutes, where Vega has just been trying so hard to get their vision going, has to feel exhausting because you have to check every single time when you don't have vision and a few people are missing.
The nice thing is that while it has been exhausting, Mega still aren't capitalizing on the fact that when they do manage to win that vision war, and again, that top tower is so frustrating for Vega. They really need to get that down if possible to alleviate one of the pressure points of having to constantly respond to that top wave.
Yeah, the lane is just so long that it takes forever to push it all the way there and even try and get some pot shots on it. So Vega, again, it's tough. Balancing where they can. Have Nomanz now in the bot lane with his teleport ready. TP starting to come back up for Mega. Lloyd's actually got his back already. And continued game of patience here. I mean, 5 turrets to 1. Vega have such a small map with which to play in. But Mega really are giving them time here. Maybe they're undoing as they will start the Baron again. G4 sort of playing interference. He sees the jungler. And that's going to be Baron over. Mega, they finally found the window they needed. And after 10 minutes, they take the Baron.
They finally found the confidence that they needed to just try to make that play. Because, again, your ability to turn off the Baron, if Vega do manage to get to it, you don't have to take the smite contest when you're this far ahead playing from blue side. You can say, hey, if Vega don't have it warded, we'll get it for free. If they do show up, we have Sivir ult, we have the Galio dash, we have Akali, we have Zhao, Hecarim. All of our champions can immediately pick up and get off of this Baron and look for the engage. So, you know, it took Mega a while, but they finally found it. The right call.
Well, goal difference has been pretty stagnant as Mega have just tried to find their map advantage more than anything else and convert it into what has now been this Baron. So they're up about 6,000 gold. We'll see how much that grows at the end of this Baron because, again, it's one thing to play ultra safe and try and guarantee yourself a Baron. It's another to now have the Baron and still play the same way.
Yeah, and it is still a lot of tools on the Vega Squadron side. They need to be still a bit respectful here, Mega. Because they still have firepower to fight back. Ryze is with the righteous glory second.
You know, sometimes you just got to get them.
Just got to have the utility.
Vega rotating down, might start a fight. Rockky the first target, but not too bad. Jjun diving in. But again, just finding that poke. No major cooldowns committed. G4 and Pop though onto this turret. Actually chunking very heavily onto the inhibitor turret. Boss pops the righteous glory. As the utility you were talking about does get G4, but doesn't really take very much damage. Does use the gunblade though, but stays very healthy in and amongst it all.
Seems to be a hit and run performance from Mega. Just trying to rip Vega around the map. Peeking in, pushing down on these towers. Someone steps out. If they find a trade that they like, they'll probably pull the trigger on it.
Yeah,
have plenty of hard engage.
Not committing to the wide angles of the map though, staying close together because I think they expect Vega to fight under these inhibitor turrets. Unfortunately, that does mean that it is much tougher to try and knock down these structures when you're only pressuring 2 lanes with your Baron.
And you know, while Boss did go for more of the utility Ryze, there's still a lot of bite and teeth left for Vega on, you know, the other 3 members that they have. At this point in the game, Gadget is a big deal, as well as Pineapple here.
Just needs to find the fight though. Of course, if you missed the early interview with Rift today, that is AHaHaCiK. And then apparently just means pineapple.
Just pineapple.
I like that the mystery has been solved. Mountain Drake also up, but no interest in that right now. Still 50 seconds with this Baron.
That's a lot of damage.
Gadget starting it off. Hemoplague finds 3, but not enough cooldowns left to get the kill. Lloyd again uses that Sivir ulti to disengage. But if we want to talk about how big Gadget is, certainly looking good. But Sivir, I mean, this is approaching the dream state for Sivir, where you just have more golden items than you can ever think to do with.
Yeah, and unfortunately that damage just isn't sticking to the side of Vega from Lloyd there. It feels like everyone is really ready to fight. You have to be respectful, so they're looking for the perfect fights, but Vega feels like, even though they're in the driver's seat, that they're losing some steam, that they are still very scared to kind of really punch the last hole into Vega. Oh!
I think looking for the perfect fight is a good way to put it, because I feel like they are looking for like the absolute best case scenarios, where a lot of times you just have to take what looks decent sometimes, especially when you have a lead. But at least we'll fall back to the Mountain Drake. We are certainly in for a long one here for Froskurinn. Already this has been, I think, one of the longer games of today. Yes, I know the front half of the games were long, but I felt like since that Game 4 happened and Vega steamrolled in 22 minutes that everyone was like, all right, this is what it's about. Let's pick up the pace. But Mega is doing everything overly safely.
And, you know, I get it. When you're in your last game on MSI, you want to make sure that you can take down the #1 team. That feels really good. You want to go for the 100% play. But I feel like League is really starting to favor the bold in terms of everyone's expectations coming into this MSI. You know, everyone was really hyped for Griffin when they went into their finals against SKT, even though SKT won the final. Everyone's really hyped about G2's playstyle, about IG's playstyle, that very, like, aggressive, medium, I'm gonna say medium risk, really high reward. And that's what those types of plays look like to me. You know, if you wash there trying to end the game with that Baron, you'll give away some gold leads, so you can make the argument that, you know, if you give them all these shutdown bonuses, that's a composition that scales really well. Maybe that closes the game for you because then trying to out 5v5 Vega's comp is just dead. But if you do win, you know, you just end the game there. There's no Baron that they could immediately run to, maybe to get the Mountain Dragon. So I feel like if you're just playing around the shutdowns, maybe you take the gamble, maybe you take the chance, but right now, eventually, Vega's comp, for me, will outscale.
And that's the thing, like, yes, you might get them to a point where they can actually fight 5v5 because you gave them a bunch of gold, but they're also going to get gold. The game doesn't stop just because you're ahead. The minions keep streaming in, the gold keeps going up passively. I mean, Gadget's almost at full build and I feel like hasn't done much other than farm for quite a while now.
The big turning point for me is actually still Ryze. The fact that he's 0-6, like he's still pretty far behind, especially going utility that early on in his build, as well as having to have the Void Staff because MR was coming out. As soon as he kind of gets to 4, going on to 5 items, I feel like that's when I feel really confident about Vega Squadron. You can say that that's a bazillion CS Sivir. That's a crazy fed akali. I still think that these team fights will come down to execution, but the core of it is both teams have bite. They can both turn a team fight depending on how things go sideways. At this play-in stage, sometimes it feels like just the better players win on the day. It can come down to snap, split-second decisions.
I've certainly seen a lot of those from Vega or Tournament Long. Still looking to go undefeated here in this play-in group stage. Baron is back up, so it's time to start face-checking, but they are sticking together at least. Boss also rotating over from the bot lane, so he's kind of scooping up the waves and ready to TP in when he is needed. See how Mega look to set up. Again, they were very cautious last time. See if that changes at all. Lloyd's, he says, takes matters into his own hands. Starts hitting the Baron.
I like his confidence.
I do too. Going down very quickly as well. They finally get some vision, but G4 might just try and stop the smite from coming in. And AHaHaCiK goes down, puts a lamb to a spite in. But I think he might die before he can try and get the steal. Baron looking to go over. It is Jjun that finds the smite. Another team fight looking to break out here as Galio goes back in. 3-man knock with a good pull from Gadget. Might actually be enough here. Boss trying to fire in where he can. Everyone's in the pit. It's an absolutely massive scramble, and G4 finds a massive ulti as Mega finally find the ace.
And that should be the game. The death timers are massive. They've got the Baron behind him. They can mow through it. It was a split fight, and by the time that Vega actually got into the pit, the team fight was already over. The gold lead speaks for itself. They have the Baron, they have the power, and they will finally have the game.
Vega, they knew they had to try something, but Santis in the player camp, hands on head at the end of it all. Mega made them work for it. They will not go undefeated as Mega can take a bow as they finish off their MSI with a win. And you know what? I'm happy to see G4 doing his thing on an international stage once more. Certainly maybe not the player he once was, at least looked like domestically. It felt like the fresh blood on that team was the ones really looking good. But again, the experience matters here when it pays off. Akali goes big. It's not the Z you wanted, but hey, we'll take it, and so will Mega.
All I wanted was a ninja that's going to blink around the screen. I still got that from G4.
Basically the same, like we discussed earlier.
And more importantly, it feels like Mega fans finally got to see their team actually show up on the international stage. It feels really bad when you know, your team loses, but it feels even worse when your team loses not playing how they do domestically. So this time around, we got the real Mega. Jjun was popping off in the early game. G4 was on the assassin, flashing around. Lloyd was the consistent carry that we know him to be, and everything felt right.
Certainly did feel like it fell into place. Vega again, call it fatigue, call it sloppiness. For them, they already knew what was going to happen to them, regardless of the result of this game. certainly would have liked to win. Every competitive player likes to win. Going undefeated would have been nice, but unfortunately couldn't make it this time around.
And I think it's really important to kind of identify what you can take away from that game from Vega and when you can't. And because of context, I don't feel like there's anything to take away. Maybe if things start to show up again in the best of 5, like mid-series, that's when you start to evaluate, these players do have an issue playing from the back foot. They do have an issue overextending. But right now, you can tell that it was a bit of a slugfest. Yeah, they probably would have wanted to win it, but I don't think there's any holes that you learn from that series to punch into Vega.
Well, wasn't too many fights, but the final one certainly did look good. We'll take a look at how Mega finally overcame this game.
I feel like a huge issue is that the call was split. Are we going for the smite steal? Are we not going for it? The fact that AHaHaCiK gets into the pit so early on trying to contest the steal, whereas then the rest of his team all just files in. But at that point, it's almost kind of too little too late. Boss is locked out. You're then in a massive death bowl of a Sivir where she's just bouncing around damage. But they just get eaten alive.
2-4 blinking all around the place. As you can see, that gold graph slowly but steadily was climbing up. You can see that little plateau right near the end as they were trying to figure out how to nab the Baron and finish off the game. But at the end of it, shoot up to 12k ahead. And my goodness, G4 and Lloyd, those are numbers. To see an Akali similar to a Sivir in a game that long in damage is pretty impressive.
What was crazy to me was the fact that the Galio support did more damage than the Ryze top lane.
Oh no.
That was not a good look there from Boss.
The 07 unfortunately finished that one off. But unsurprisingly, our player of this game, of course, goes to G4, making it count at the end of it all. Had a lot of style to boot this game.
Yeah, and he did it in the 1v1s, he did it into the team fights, he did it in the side lanes, the show up. Like, you got every kind of look from G4 that you wanted to get. And you said it repeatedly during that game, Pastry. I just want to reiterate it. The veteran status experience, it's one of those intangibles, those X factors that you can't really measure on the international stage. Everyone knows that it exists, everyone has it in the conversation, but I feel like this was actually the disparity here.
You cannot teach it, you can only learn, and that takes playing in tournaments like this. G4 showing up looking good. And is, of course, a must-card player of the game. With that, we have our first best of 5s coming up tomorrow. The action starts with Team Liquid versus Phong Vu Buffalo, followed by Flash Wolves against Vega Squadron.
And then, of course, the 2 losers of that best of 5 will then move into our final best of 5 to determine the last team that will represent that final spot on MSI main stage.
And of course, good talk about who we think is going to win, but very tough to judge. Again, 2 teams that we haven't seen yet this tournament are playing. We've got a lot of info on how both Vega and Phong Vu Buffalo have played, and don't forget, of course, winning a best of MSI countdown, will start tomorrow. So we haven't had it for these early stages, but coming to the knockouts, we'll have countdown. So don't forget to tune in half an hour earlier. They're at 12:30 a.m. Pacific on 9:30 Central.
I know.
Make sure to check that out.
I'll be on the countdown. I'm very excited to kind of like really dig into these best of 5s. I'm very excited to see how Team Liquid is going to show up on this main stage and get a good glimpse, because I feel like a lot of people have them count out. Maybe not so much.
I mean, it's always fun, and I think, again, this format is so cutthroat for these teams trying to qualify. Only one team gets out of these groups, and then you're in a very small double elim best of 5 bracket. You got to battle it out to try and take one of the 3 available slots versus 2 teams that you assume are coming in very strong and having watched every single one of your games.
Yeah, and again, the kind of storyline for this MSI, or at least this play-in stage, felt like a shift in power. You have the established strong regions. It used to be the likes of Brazil, CIS up there. And yeah, CIS and VCS pop out, but now we get to see how VCS cuts their teeth against NA and really see if that gap is shrinking or closing.
And I think the Buffalo have a lot to play for, and so do all the teams playing tomorrow. But now for myself, Froskurinn, and the entire broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for the play-in knockouts.